Welcome to This Week in West Hempstead, sponsored this week by Creative Corner. Here are your hosts, David and Norm.
Welcome to This Week in West Hempstead with David Kirshner, Norm Case, and our special guest, Mike Sigal. Welcome, guys.
Well, good to be here.
Thank you.
Let's just dive into today's big story, and then we'll work our way through a lot of stuff because there's a lot of things going on in West Hempstead. So this Sunday there was the funeral of the infant son of Rabbi and Rebbetzin Soniker of Anshe Shalom, who unfortunately passed away at an incredibly early young age, not even 2 months old. Norm, you were there at the funeral. What was it like?
Yeah, we were all there. It was heartbreaking. This is, I think, a 7-week-old child that was born, never conscious, on life support from day one, and it was a community vigil.
Yeah, I think that's a really important note. And, Mike, maybe you can talk a little bit also about not only was it a vigil that lasted almost 2 months, but the community outpouring for the family has been something that's really kind of like renews your faith in other people.
Well, I think it's still pretty raw for all of us. I think it's hard to look at it with any kind of perspective. And obviously it's no more raw than it is for the Soniker family. And as close as all of us are to the Sonikers, in that family, in that dynamic, for 2 months almost, they went through just a very, very difficult time. And the funeral, it was a very hot day Sunday, and on the Jewish calendar it was Tisha B'Av, so it was a fast day. So most of us at the funeral were not drinking or even drinking water, and it was to hear Rabbi Soniker talk about his love for his son and his wanting to express to his child. Really brought it to the agony that was in the rabbi's voice, really brought the whole picture to me into reality. You hear about a tragedy, you hear about stuff's going on, you pray, you donate money, you try to give food to the family, you do what you can to support them, and the whole community came together to do whatever they could. But really, at that moment in that cemetery, it was reality for all of us, and obviously, there wasn't a dry eye or a non-broken heart.
And for me, it was really incredible to hear the rabbi speak about what a gift this was. I mean, after going through literal hell with him and his family for 7 weeks, he thanks God for having been given the gift of this child. And that's it's like almost inconceivable for me to try and wrap my head around that. But he has the faith, and you could see it on his face, and you can see it on his family's faces.
Yeah, we've all spent time with Rabbi Soniker over the last 2 months, and we've seen him up close. And I really think it was and it is his and the Rebbetzin and their whole family. It is that holding on to faith that is so special. It's an absolute. There's no wavering. So in that type of situation, for them, it's God's will, and they accept it. That being said, they did absolutely everything that was humanly possible. But I think they were able to just say, there's a higher power here, and we just have to kind of go with the flow.
And I think they'll be fine. I think they'll come out the other end. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of patience, and still a lot of heartache.
You're right. They will be fine, but we all have to realize that it's not over. Even though Uriel's passed away, it's still, that family's still going to need the community and their friends and their support,
and they'll have it.
Yeah, it really takes an extremely long time to recover from such a blow, and you're right. I think it is with everyone participating in their just getting back to whole, or whatever whole can be when you're fractured. It's certainly going to take time, and we wish them a very speedy journey to kind of be able to get a little bit past this.
Right.
It is interesting, and I'll save it for another podcast because I know we're off on a serious note. But I happen to know the Sonecker family since I was 3 years old, and it just so happened that Rabbi Sonecker's grandmother was my mother's best friend in a small town called Muncie up in Rockland County. And we'll save that for another time because literally we can talk for a long time and talk about his grandfather, who was a hero during World War II and fought for Israeli independence. So, it really comes from a very, very strong stock.
Yeah, it's a beautiful family, really, truly beautiful on both sides.
So, kind of switching into more of the mundane, let's talk a little about water. It's really been hot as heck, and I think we're all roasting down in our studios, and everyone's wondering, why the AC isn't, turned up, or why isn't there any AC? But getting past that, we all have houses here. Our lawns are getting, shredded. They're turning to hay. Everyone's out there trying to keep them going, water. The pools are flowing. The hydrants, not the hydrants, we're not in the city, but the hydrants are closed. There's a lot of water going on. So, I figured let me just check in with the West Hempstead Water District and just find out what's going on. So it seemed like a simple question, and actually was a simple question, and they gave me a simple answer. Things are great. They gave me a full report. Basically, the tanks are filled to where they're supposed to be. The water pressure is where it's supposed to be. I think it's like 82, something like 78 to 82 psi, Norm.
Yeah, it's in the low 80s, and which is considered very good.
And there's really no issues. There's no construction that's going on or any emergency work. And fortunately, things are in great shape.
We've got millions of gallons of water up in the air in those towers, so we are in good shape.
Is it like a kicker in football where you don't really notice it until there's something wrong?
Yeah, actually, that's true. If they do construction or there's a major fire and they're drawing down a lot of water, then we'll notice it.
Yeah, you really don't know unless things get screwed up, and it's kind of weird reporting that everything's fine, but
until it's not.
It's been like weeks and weeks of complete dry weather with people watering their lawns. I think we're about 20 to 25% lower than where we were last year as far as the rainfall totals go. You just figured something's going to be screwed up somewhere. It turns out that in the Hamptons, I think I read this on Newsday.com, they are having a pretty significant issue with water. So basically, they fill up their water tanks, and by 7 a.m., because of all the watering,
they're empty.
All the tanks are empty for like the rest of the day. And this literally goes on day after day. No one does anything about it. Who knows? But, that's out in certainly not in Nassau County, out in Suffolk County. It seems like things around here are pretty good.
That's why I sold all my properties in the Hamptons.
Yeah,
that's why I divested myself of all my East
Can you imagine
Hampton
owning
properties.
a $10 million house and they tell you don't flush your toilet between 10 and 4?
Mike, we know you would rather. What? Anyway, this discussion's going into the crapper.
Let's talk about the fact that there's a hurricane season.
Yeah, you know what? Let's get people really.
We have to remind you again.
Yes,
you can't wait for the last minute. Start the preparation now. Get the batteries. Get your medications. Make sure your car's gassed up. There's lots of stuff you need to do to prepare for this kind of thing, but those are the minimum things you need to do now. Don't wait. We could get a weather report tomorrow about a hurricane on the way, and it'll be too late to get gas, too late to find batteries. Prepare.
Short-term announcement, don't run anywhere yet. I mean, the weather seems to be fine outside the fact that we're maybe being contacted by aliens. But putting that part aside, I think at least for the next few weeks, the weather patterns look fine. But Norm, to your point, you never know. Also, with this incredibly hot weather, my phone just went off before with a flood watch that's in effect for the next 24 to possibly 48 hours as we transition from hot to cold. that in itself can make, incredible, lightning and thunder, and you never know when the lights can go out.
Unpredictable. Be prepared.
Check your gutters. Check your gutters. Clean them out.
Mike, that's really important. When we first moved into West Hempstead and we came in from Forest Hills, we lived in an apartment, and it was the middle of a rainstorm. I couldn't figure. All of a sudden, I see it raining in like one particular area, and my window wells in the basement started filling up with water. It was like all of a sudden they became like fish tanks. I'm like, what the heck's going on? I'm a city guy. I have no idea. I go outside and I see that the gutters were completely stopped up. The water was coming over in one particular spot. And, fortunately, I eventually was able to do it, but we did take water on in the house. And it's really, really simple and very simple to, get someone to, hire a professional, go up to your gutters, unless you have one of those covers. But assuming you don't, clean them out on a regular basis. It'll save you a lot of trouble.
In my old house, I remember we had a bird that seemed to love a particular corner of my roof to build its nest. And I would go up there and gently get rid of the nest. It was 2 stories up. I'm not a heights guy. I would go up there and get rid of the nest. I clean out the gutter. I put the nest on the ground. And the next year, the same bird, I assume it was the same bird, I didn't ID him or anything, would make his nest in the same spot. After a couple of years, I stopped being so gentle. I used to just go up there and throw it off. There were no eggs in it, but I would throw it off the roof. It's incredibly important. And you literally, that rainstorm you're talking about, that rainstorm could come into your house.
Yes. At a moment's notice. Also important to make sure if you have a generator, make sure it's working if you haven't tested it. Fortunately, we've been lucky that, power has been pretty constant in West Hempstead, and we seem to have a grid that's, pretty secure. But again, with everything we're talking about, you never know. And there hasn't been a period, probably in almost the 10 years since Sandy hit, where there's been a prolonged blackout. So the last thing you want to do is go pull that generator out of the shed that you haven't started for 7 or 8 years.
Right.
You haven't tested it and expect that on the first pull, that thing's going to work. Not so quick. Now you have the opportunity to test it out and see if it works.
No pressure now, but later it'll make a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's also a great time if you have an older neighbor that lives next door or across the street. It's a great time to go introduce yourself and say, listen, hurricane season's coming. If the lights go out, whatever's happening, especially if you have a generator, maybe they don't. If whatever happened, you can always come over. We're usually home at night, or whatever your words are to your neighbor. I'm sure they'll appreciate it.
That's a good point as well. And you can do that with your family. Make a plan. What are you going to do? If you're separated, somebody's living in a different area, how are you going to communicate? What's the deal? Where will you be? If everybody knows where each person's going to be, it's a lot of headaches that you don't have to worry about later.
Yeah, have a plan is basically, the most important thing. And you know what? Those stupid, dopey flyers that we get all the time from Nassau County and Hempstead, there happens to be one about storm preparedness. That's one that's actually useful.
That's a good one.
Throw out most of them, but this one you can keep. I don't need to see, Don Clavin, on a photo op. Here's Don Clavin taking a picture here, and here's Don Clavin taking a picture there. Who gives a crap about Don Clavin? And how much, by the way, how much money is Don Clavin spending for all of these flyers? All they are promotional. It's like
this one's worthwhile.
No, that one's worthwhile.
Hurricane preparedness.
Of course, Don Clavin's pictures on it.
Of course.
But I'm telling you, all these other ones, the fakakta flyers, it's like enough already.
I don't know. Before he had this job, I used to make all my tax checks out to Don Clavin. So I feel like I've supported him for many, many years.
Okay, but he doesn't,
He's on his own right now.
We know who he is.
He was a receiver of taxes.
Who's this Janine? Is that his wife?
Mike, I feel like I'm ranting and I'm like encroaching on your space.
It's easy to rant. It's easy to rant.
It doesn't take me much to get worked up.
Let me tell you about Creative Corner.
You know what? Let Harry Baldino. I get his name wrong. Nicest guy in the world. Norm, tell us about Creative Corner, please.
He's expanding all his programs. He's doing a pottery program. He bought a couple of kilns. He showed it to me just today. He's going to be setting up in his basement pottery wheel and classes. I know my wife is going to love to do this, and I think a lot of the neighborhood would enjoy a pottery class. In addition to that, Wednesday evenings, and I noticed this, I was driving down the street like 11 o'clock at night, one Wednesday night. He's got these people jamming in his place. They're jazz musicians, pros, who get together and they jam in his place. And every Wednesday night, starting at 7 o'clock, you can have a chance to sit down and listen to these great musicians play.
Yeah.
Monday night is going to be open mic soon. Right?
He's getting booked up all during the week. I mean, it's
great.
It's really incredible. Creative Corner is on Hempstead Avenue by Roosevelt Boulevard. If you haven't taken a class there, we urge you to take a class there. You'll get a lot out of it. They're a lot of fun. You'll learn a lot.
He's also, your kids will have a great time. He does children's parties all over town. He'll come to your house or invite them in, and he can do art classes or music with them. It's really a fabulous place.
He's also, in addition to supporting local, which we all want to do, he's a fascinating man, and he's a really, really nice guy. Everybody says, oh, he's a nice guy, he's a nice guy. Harry is the real deal. He really is. He cares about this neighborhood. He cares about the people. And he is so open and so welcome there that you walk in the door, you feel like you're coming home.
People don't realize that for 2 years he carried that store out of his pocket, losing money, not being able to get any kind of help, and it was impossible, of course, for all store owners. But in his case, all the programs stopped, the people stopped coming in. Come back, everybody, come back to Creative Corner. This is a gem in our neighborhood.
Absolutely. And again, sign up for their programs. The new pottery class really sounds like a lot of fun. And talk to Harry, because, you're going to learn a lot about him, learn a lot about the community. He's been here forever. He was a contractor before he started Creative Corner. He just seems to know pretty much everyone. And it's really, we're so fortunate to have someone.
Say one more thing about one of his more popular programs. I was just talking to him about it this week. Is his special needs programs. He brings in Yachad and other groups, and they use his facilities, and they learn to paint. And maybe they can only paint one line or one dot or whatever they could do. But his heart is so open to the entire generation of people that he's wonderful.
Wow, that really speaks volumes. And again, as Norm pointed out, he stayed open when pretty much everyone closed up, and he really believes in the community, and we should give back to Creative Corner as well.
Yep, and we will.
So let's talk a little bit about events that are going on around Hempstead. I know this is the part that we're all waiting for. We got 3 things going on in the next couple of days. On August 10th, we have Ricky, Don't Lose That Number, or the directions to Seaman's Neck Park, Seaford, as FM performs a Steely Dan tribute. Holy crap, is this either my eyes are blank or someone wasn't able to proofread? Wow. I really apologize.
You want to try that again, Dave?
No, I don't, because this is how it was written. Oh, my God.
Don't go.
Ricky, Don't Lose That Number.
That's
a Steely
great
Dan
song.
tribute.
Don't lose that number.
A Steely Dan tribute at Seaman's Neck Park. That's what Dave meant to say.
Something like that. Okay, let me try the next one.
Okay.
How about the next one? Okay. The next day, August 11th, Don't Ask Me No Questions. Just take your time to Echo Park in West Hempstead to see Freebird, a Leonard Skinner tribute. Mike, how did I do on that one?
Learning to read English, it's not bad.
Freebird is a great tribute. It's a great tribute band, and Leonard Skinner is part of our youth.
How would you know that Freebird is a good tribute band? I mean, it's fine. Are you?
Freebird is a song. Any band that does Freebird is a good band. It's a very difficult song to play.
Okay.
Next.
But by the way, just so we pause for a second, this is taking place at Echo Park, which, West Hempstead Echo, Echo. So people in the community should come out and see Freebird and tell them that Mike sent you. And the last one on August 12th, let's see how I can screw this one up. Come down to Hewlett Point Park, East Rockaway, to hear Amber Ferrari as she pays tribute to Madonna, Lady Gaga, Janis Joplin, and more. Amber Ferrari, Mike, mean anything to you?
I heard of Janis Joplin and Madonna, and I think Lady Gaga's current and huge right now.
But I've never heard of Janis Joplin and Lady Gaga in the same sentence. I mean, this woman has got to be probably the most talented singer of all time. I mean, just think of
versatile.
So this is huge. So these are 3 big events. Go out, bring your family. The price is right. It's free. You'll have a great time, especially the West Hempstead event. Go out there, show your support for West Hempstead. We'd love to see you there.
Sounds good.
All right, and I think that's going to wrap it up for this week in West Hempstead. Hopefully some of you are still awake. It's been a long show, but we appreciate it. We covered a lot of ground. We'll join you next week. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Norm, and we'll be back again soon.
Thank you.